two-stage stall to backfly is a great recovery technique to clear cravats and also exit from spins which could twist up the pilot. It's better than the full stall as it retains the wing span and doesn't drop back into a horseshoe, which can encourage cravats and also twisting of the pilot. To do one, the pilot applies full brake to stall the wing. As the glider drops back into a full stall, the pilot will release the brakes to create the tips to expand again and quickly reapply. This is done within a second. The brakes come back down to around where the carabiners are, but they're hovering in a point where the pilot wants the glider to continue coming back but maintains brake control until they're completely underneath it. Now this hand position is around the mailons, but it hovers and the pilot is concentrating on looking up, keeping the wing flying backwards and stable above their heads. And what you're looking for is to see the centre of the wing flying backwards and the two tips flying forwards. That's a characteristic recognition of a back fly. Once you're stably in that back fly, the pilot then releases the brake smoothly, allowing the tips to fill with air and dive to get balanced flight. But sometimes the tips, as you're releasing, can stay in because they're in front. In that case, just keep the glider flying and give the tip a nice healthy pump out with the brake. With two liners, we often teach the pilot to isolate the tip and pump hard, so hard that it almost stalls, but still fly the other wing. The goal of the pilot is to keep the glider dropping back as they pendulum underneath the wing and stabilise in the back fly. If there is too much time between the initial stall, release and reintroduction of brakes, then the glider can shoot and dive. If that happens, then it's important to break the dive and recover. It is also very important for the pilot to stay sat up and straight in your harness. Focus on the wing. Focus on it dropping back smoothly, maintaining its span until you are underneath it, and balance with your brake pressure, maintaining control and pressure throughout the manoeuvre. The two-stage stall to backfly is a great recovery technique, but with all advanced flying techniques, this takes piloting skill and practice. But once you've learned the muscle memory of the brake pressures and the timings, then it's a relatively easy manoeuvre to do. But again, it's all about practice. You can go straight to the backfly position from a spin, for example, and that will clear the spin, go into stable backfly and allow the pilot time to ease up gently, clearing the tips and allowing the glider to dive and fly away without going through the two-stage stall. This manoeuvre can be performed by all categories of glider, but with higher performance wings, it's important that the pilot is very fast to react and also aware that you have a smaller brake range to operate in. But you'll be surprised, with high performance wings, the brake pressure is less, the movement is smooth, it's really quite pleasant to do, and it's a great recovery technique to learn. Because the last thing a pilot with a two-liner wants to do is have the glider fully stall and tips clapping hands with a risk of cravatting and also twisting. So learning the two-stage stall to backfly is an important part of an advanced pilot's agenda. Your glider reflects your hand and body movement, so the more you master the backfly position, the less your hands will move and the less your body will move, and therefore the less the glider will move as a result of that.
Hold it there.
we teach two-stage stall and backfly to students, and it's a very good way to safely stall your glider without getting tips, caught and cravats. But there is a point as you're easing up the brakes where there's this heli phase, yawing phase, and it's important to come out of that and get flying as soon as you can, especially if you're in a pod, because you can yaw about in your harness. When you practice the backfly position and you really find that sweet spot, your hands don't move much and the glider remains really stable, and it's a fantastic way to reset the wing.